Here, 17. If you missed any of the first hour of our show, go back on our podcasts, wherever podcasts are found, and listen, where you hear the latest on the coaching carousel, including the person that, based on how the Cowboys are operating, who CC thinks should be their head coach based on how they are operating. Not who he would hire, but how they're operating, and it is not someone that is a coach in the NFL or college. So make sure you go back and listen on the podcast, wherever podcasts are found. As we get ready for the conference championship game.
It's so odd weekend. When you say that. It's
what?
Not somebody that's in the NFL or college.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but it's just...
Good tease. Go back on the pod.
It's just wild to think about it that way.
Yeah. It's also wild when I say, as we get ready for the conference championship weekend, as if I am going to have to do something to influence the game. I need to get ready for these games, which is sitting on my couch. That's how I'm going to get ready. But as we start talking about these games more and more, the Chiefs and the Bills specifically, which with 2 weeks in a row in the AFC, it feels like the Super Bowl, right? Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Bills. It's awesome. Dominic Foxworth, our buddy, who's awesome, Dominic Foxworth Show, had this to say about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Maybe I'm wrong. I was young, obviously, but I felt like everywhere people wanted to see Jordan win. Like, we weren't rooting for Karl Malone. We have entered a place where the Chiefs aren't fun to watch anymore. Like, they play a boring style of football that kind of frustrates fans. If they were still blowing people out and scoring a bunch of points, and every week Patrick Mahomes is throwing with the left hand, I think we'd still be on board. But now it's them feeling like they are like moneyballing it. They're flopping to get calls and trying to get you into a tight game and trying to get the tiny little advantages, which, like, as a fan of that team, you appreciate. But the rest of us are like, play football. Like, go out there and try to score. Like, don't just try to, like, stall us out until you can get to the end and Mahomes can be special.
I would dream of being as smart as Dominic Foxworth, but I look at it so differently.
Yeah, me too.
I have such an admiration for any business, any person, any team that can evolve and change and continue to win at the highest level by being something different than you used to be because of the evolution of your, in this case, roster, finances, etc. I have such envy and admiration for that.
Yeah, and to me, that's the biggest difference, right? With the NBA, you had the opportunity to have these dynastic runs because you were allowed to keep a lot of your core components together for an extended period of time. At the NFL, it doesn't work that way, right? No other sports league does a better job of creating parity by way of the rules than the NFL does, with the hard salary cap, with free agency, so on and so forth. It makes it hard to have that continuity, to have that through line. But you're seeing with the Kansas City Chiefs, they can evolve, they can adapt better than anyone that we've maybe ever seen in the sports history. So I think that's what makes it special. But what takes away from the appeal, the excitement overall, is because the Chiefs are inevitable. It's because we know in the end they're going to be there. Smalls, this is their 7th straight conference championship game. This is where the season starts for Patrick Mahomes. This is all he's ever known. Since he became a full-time starter in Kansas City, this team has been in the conference championship game or better. And so for us, we're just now starting to dial into the Kansas City Chiefs because, you know, their season is just starting because they're always at this point. And oh, by the way, they're going up against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, and the Kansas City Chiefs are 3-0 against them in the postseason. So we're expecting that the Chiefs will once again win the conference championship and punch their ticket and go to a 3rd straight Super Bowl after winning the first 2 and being the first team in NFL history to actually go back-to-back and have a chance to win a 3rd.
And you're not bored by that?
I'm not. No. I'm never bored by greatness.
No,
I'm never bored by greatness.
I could keep watching it for a decade.
Because I know how hard it is.
Of course you do.
I know how hard it is. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Like.
I know how hard it is. And it's human nature to have a little bit of a letdown once you've reached the mountaintop. My former teammate, O.C. Umenyiora, used to always say this: it's hard to eat when you're full. What continues to astound me is how the Kansas City Chiefs continue to have that hunger, continue to chase after trying to win a championship as if they've never done it before. Mm-hmm. They have the experience, but they don't have the drawbacks of having been there, done that in terms of being complacent. That to me in and of itself is their superpower. That's what makes this dynasty special. They have that secret sauce. And I don't know how Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes do it, but to me, that's the beauty in watching it. It's like, this is unprecedented. I've never seen this from a championship-winning team in the NFL.
Yes, and I don't want to take away anything from the Kansas City Chiefs because they have been sensational throughout this run. They really have. But I think Dominic Foxworth hit on something that I have felt, and a lot of people, I think, have felt about this Chiefs team and this dynastic run, is it does feel different than some of these other dynasties we've seen in sports. Dom said we all wanted Michael Jordan to win. And I think that is so singular in what it was, because it didn't matter if you were a Bulls fan or not. We were in such awe of him. He was so otherworldly that we were enamored with Jordan, and you just couldn't beat him. You couldn't stop him, so we were enamored with him and the Bulls in a different way. The Patriots were the villain. We knew how good they were, but everybody outside of Foxborough hated the Patriots, whether it was because of the cheating or because of Belichick or if it was something to do with Brady. They were more entertaining because of the hatred that we had for the Patriots. The Warriors were so electric. Their style of basketball was so transcendent and so different that you could not take your eyes off of them. And then to add the rivalry with LeBron into all of that, that's must-see TV. Whereas when I look at the Chiefs, they've gotten to a point where it feels a bit boring. To Dom's point, they're winning games, and it's very hard to win games in the NFL, let alone as many games as the Kansas City Chiefs have won. But their style of play isn't that exciting anymore. It's not as electric. It seems like they always get the call. They always get the break in the game that they need to squeak out these wins. And for fans, that's a little frustrating. If you're on the outside looking in, if you don't have that pure hatred like you did for the Patriots, or you're not enamored with them like you were the Warriors or Jordan, etc., it's not as fun. It's not as spicy as it once was.
This is so much of a beauty is in the eye of the beholder kind of thing. Like, I don't find, I'm going to get laughed at for this, but I don't find like the Lions as enjoyable as I do the Chiefs, because I just find the finding ways to win teams
fascinating,
more enjoyable than like the trick play teams. And because I always think, and maybe it is just simply my obsession with Belichick and trying to do your best to avoid mistakes and capitalize on other people's mistakes, that I find those types of teams like, well, something's going to go wrong, right? They're going to screw. I find Josh Allen thoroughly enjoyable to watch now, and I hated watching him when he was a gunslinger. And I think really the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think that for me as a sports fan, the boringness is the sports turn on, right? The Spurs with Duncan were the most boring team for most to watch. I could watch them all day because they were a soccer team, and the way that they were passing the ball, and it was like the beautiful game. And it wasn't all 3-point based like the Warriors were kind of Spurs-ish and Suns-ish combined, right? But they were shooting threes, and it was exciting. I just find these teams that find ways to win in a boring ball prevention, a turnover prevention sort of way, unbelievably enjoyable to watch.
But that's not the only way that they've won during this dynastic run.
But that's the way they're doing it now.
They had the Detroit Lions offense, the explosiveness, the second reaction plays, Patrick Mahomes running around and then throwing it 60 yards to Tyreek Hill for a touchdown. We've seen all of that. This is just a different iteration of this Chiefs team, and I think that's the part that's so fascinating, and that's what I appreciate the most, is that they've been able to find different identities that lead to the same result, which is them holding up the Lombardi Trophy. This team has won 3 championships. They've been to 4